you had an event this past weekend, and you're always involved in the community. What's it been like to be in the community, and then also combining the fact that you're hearing people's stories?
It's really cool, actually. I love the fact that where we meet as a church community um, is blocks away from where I live. For me personally, and also, and even though some people live further away, they can have that same experience. But for me, the people that I'm meeting now, they really kind of connect the dots, and they don't know that I'm a pastor, or they don't know that I serve in a church, and then they kind of find out, and it's like, oh, okay, wow, you didn't come across that way. I'm like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm like, no, 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 it's a good thing. I remember having one conversation with a friend, and we were out for coffee, and they literally said, like, oh, my wife wanted to make sure that I'm not signing any papers today, that I'm not committing to anything. I'm like, oh, buddy, don't worry. Like, first of all, I have no paper, and there's no signature, you know? So, but the freedom to have those kind of conversations is so neat. And so out of this stuff has come, besides wonderful conversation, even wonderful relationships. And like I said, we hosted, a community event this past weekend. Well, I love the fact that people put two and two together and say, so a church hosted an event that didn't raise money for themselves. They just gave it to Habitat in Durham. Yes, that's what we did. So no benefit to you. The only benefit is that we get to serve you people and the people in our community. And so that stuff like that surprises people, and it softens them up towards what they might have thought people that follow Jesus were all about,
And your office sometimes is a Starbucks, and I get to, because I live in Ajax and in Durham, so there's oftentimes where I catch you in your office.
One of my offices.
One of your many offices, right? Church planner, but you have many offices. As long as there's a Starbucks or Tim Hortons around, you have an office.
No Tim Hortons. It's a Starbucks. So I have worked there because they also give me free internet. So.
Wherever internet is given, that's where you'll be.
Exactly.
But you get to when you're in your conversations, you get to hear about people some of them who are on a journey. Well, I mean, we're all on a journey, but some of them who are on a journey towards faith, and some of them for different reasons that journey ended.
Mm-hmm.
And they have different reasons for it, whether it's just cynical unbelief, whether it's been a traumatic experience in their lives that has made them question things. How do you communicate or navigate around those conversations with people who you're journeying with?
One is just be really normal and not expect people to be at a place that they're not. One thing we've heard from some of the people that have graced us with their presence is that they've felt in other places and or other scenarios with maybe established Christians or churches that they felt like they needed to have it all right, that they were so far behind the conversation, that they were felt so out of the loop that maybe this wasn't for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of what I do, I think, what I try to do and what I ask God to help me to do is to help people feel at ease that wherever they're at, and if they have hang-ups with the church or if they have no experience with the church, we can actually be walking together and journeying together. We use this analogy early on, and funny that we hosted a run over the weekend, but running is kind of cool. If you go to a running room or a running free store, you see these clinics going on. And I remember seeing a retweet from one of their posts that said, I love running because it doesn't matter if you're good, if you've been running for a long time, or if you just started, I get to be in this group together. And we all find our place on the same path. And I thought, oh my goodness, that is so, that's the message we need to communicate when it comes to embracing people in church communities, because everyone's at a different place, but we need to help everyone realize that if you're here and someone's here and someone's here, we're actually doing this together. And let's not make that space so far away.
Yeah.
Let's make us feel like we're actually closer than we think,
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it. I mean, culture and just kind of understanding where people are at. And if I don't know what's going on in my world at all, and if I am closed to some of the things that are going on in culture, whatever that is, and you're great at that stuff, obviously, that's one of your great gifts.
Oh.
Not that I have to know every single movie or every single song or every, but the fact that there's some kind of connection there, and I'm not only telling them about church, we're having conversation, and I'd rather that the values of Jesus pop up, and then we can connect the dots back, not like Jesus this, Jesus that, and then the conversation's over.
That reminds me of something. You do a great job with this, John. And oftentimes, like when churches will use a song that the church knows to kind of hammer home a point.
Yeah.
You often will use a song that the church would consider a secular song, for lack of better, right? For lack of better words.
Sure.
But you use them so strategically. Where does that come from? Where does that desire come from?
It comes from my love for music. So, you hear neat lyrics and you think, wow, that's real, and that's a question, It comes from an understanding that everyone's made in God's image. And so if everyone's made in God's image, then Sting and John Mayer and Sheryl Crow and, whoever, Billy Talent, like whoever it is, willingly or unwillingly, there's some things that come out in their story that gets back to their creator, even though maybe they're not thinking it that way. And so to identify some of that stuff, like in a John Mayer song where he says something's missing and everything on his list is checked off and he still says something's missing, as someone that follows Jesus, I can say, he's right, because something is missing, When you hear a song from, we did, some people like it or don't like it, but we did I Will Wait from Mumford & Sons. We started our Advent series with that. Advent is about waiting for God to come down and be with us. And that song is a cry to say, I am waiting for something bigger than what I have right now. Well, can't we connect those dots? Like, isn't that something that we can do? And so when you see those things, if you can share a quote from a book, and we can share a clip from a movie, well, why can't we share a whole song that someone's literally crying out for something bigger than them, Yeah.
And I just love, you've used Where Are You Going from Dave Matthews and Gravity by John Mayer. And you use it at a funeral, in fact. And I'm thinking going we're all crying out for something, even if we don't know what we're crying out for. And I've always admired that and how you're able to connect those dots that many people would more just kind of disregard and say, oh, well, it doesn't matter anything because we can sing this song and it will do this, and it will also say the words Jesus in it. You're around people a lot, and you're only young adults and young families and things like that. We mentioned before some who believe and some who don't believe. What would you say are some reasons why people don't believe today?
That particular age group or anybody?
Anybody.
Well, first of all, there's lots of stuff out there to believe in, or...
I should preface it believe in Jesus, supposed to just believe it.
Yeah. I mean, number one, this is the Jesus story is a story. It's a beautiful story. It's a real story. It's the story. And some people say that people that talk like this about postmodernism or about, our culture, and there are so many stories out there for people to grab onto. And so we'd be foolish to think that they're not going to investigate a bunch of the stories that are there, because there's some great stories too. C.S. Lewis said before he became a Christian, he said he loved mythology and he loved all the myths, but when he discovered this myth that was the gospel, he felt like that was the best myth or the best story that he could attach himself to. And so I think that people generally are just interested in so many things around them. And so I think it's arrogant of us to say that, how could they not see this? Well, maybe they haven't been acquainted with the story, and maybe they've only seen fringes of the story that are the parts that are real, but yet not that much fun. Like you and I could both agree that church isn't always great because it's a community that is messed up and has imperfections like any community, because we're people and we're hurt and we're broken. So sometimes people associate just the brokenness or just the stuff in history that isn't that great, the stuff that I want to forget and you want to forget, and that we are asking still forgiveness for some of the things that the church has done, you know? And then there's political things, because political parties connect themselves to faith or religion, and that gets really messy, and people don't want that. So there's many reasons why people will not want to be part of a church community or to really find themselves, you know, in a journey with Jesus. Young adults specifically, they have so many options.
Yeah.
They love to not be committal, and they love to wait till the last minute because they want to survey their options. And you know this, and I know this just working with university students. If you throw an event, you know, they're going to wait until maybe 27 minutes before the event if they're going to go or not. Because they want to know, what are my options tonight? What else can I be doing? And I want to make sure if I go there, that was the best thing that I could have done. And a lot of them hold out the same way when it comes to following Jesus. Like, okay, wait, what are my options here? Is Jesus really the best option for me or not? And as much as I think Jesus is the best option for them, I have to let them figure it out. And I have to let God, like, trust God in the fact that he's working in their life. And so let them make that decision. I'm obviously going to help them along as much as they allow me to, but really allow that process to take place. Yeah.
My last question for you is this then, Jonathan. In light of all that we have been able to talk about inside the APC studios, once again, by APC studios, I mean Jeff Mears' office. In this new adventure that you and your family are on, you and this community, the village, are on together, what's your hope for the impact that you're able to make?
It's a good question. There's a few things, you know. Simply, we want to make, it's part of it. We really do want to make our world better. And that happens in small ways and big ways. So it happens by, you know, serving. It happens by hosting an event like we just did. It happens by being the church and not saying, come to church. That's a really huge part of it. You know, so when it comes to us becoming a community, and I say that word becoming in a very thoughtful, hopefully sincere sense, because we want to help people be on a journey, and we want to journey with them. So as a community, those that attach themselves or become part of who we are, we really want to together become better people, become human beings that Jesus has called us to be, and find mission in his kingdom, in his ways, in his gospel, and all that stuff, you know? And that includes salvation, and it includes who Jesus is, and it includes Jesus dying for the world, you know? I love this, you know, people would use this term, Jesus, if you were the only person left in the world, Jesus would have died for you. I totally agree with the statement, but you're not. There's 6 billion people in the world and more, which means that we're called into community together. So one of the things that we really want to be and really want to become is a group of people, is a community of people that does this together.
That's awesome.
Wherever you're at. The other thing, as far as churches goes and church communities go, we really want to communicate that the church is a community of people that you are with and that you do life with, not a building that you go to. And it's hard when you have a building. It's easier when you don't. But it's still easy to get caught up in that. And we don't want to be that. I cheer on every church in our community.
Which I love seeing.
Every church is a good church for somebody. If you're a 2,000-person church, 20-person church, the mess-ups, there's something good there. But we, particularly the village, we want to grow sideways and not up. Because I feel like if we grow up, there are certain things that come with that. When I say grow up, I don't mean in maturity, but upwards. But if we grow sideways, we feel like there'll always be a local presence wherever we are. And so our hope is that, and this comes even from our parent church, BVC, that has this heart as well, we really feel like if we spread this way, we will reach more people at the root of where it is, which is in our neighborhoods and in our communities. And that's a big deal for us. And
awesome.
we hope to be that kind of church community for sure.
John, thanks for hanging out with me in the APC studios. Once again, Jeff Mears' office. Thanks for hanging out. We're done. Here. It's good. I'm glad that now we're going to go get lunch.
Oh, awesome.